Anyone of you?
Yes.
So actually, these things I have already discussed last time. So quickly, I will give you the recap. You can review all those things and you can be able to understand the today's lecture. Today will be the last lecture for the module 2. So we'll be able to complete the module 2. So last time we have defined the likelihood functions, and in fact, before defining this likelihood functions, we have derived the expression of conditional density function for the given that is with the conditional density functions for the observations vector x when mi symbol has been transmitted at the transmitter side. So this is nothing. This likelihood function is nothing but the same. But at the same time, I told you that rather than we require to have the knowledge of this, we require to have the knowledge of probability that we want to detect at the receiver. That is, what is the probability of detection of the transmitted signal mi for the given observations. So how this probability we can calculate? That we can calculate based on the likelihood detection decoding techniques that we will study today. So this function itself here it is defined as likelihood functions, which is given by LMI x given mi. And if you take the log of that, then that function is called as log likelihood function. And either you consider this LMI or you consider this LMI, both are having equal actually the nature. That is, once this affects the probability density process, so line between its value lies in between 0 to 1. So this LMI is also positive. And similarly, this LMI is also this one is the if this will increase, then LMI will also increase. So, so both are having the one-to-one relationship. So these two likelihood functions will be using in the decoding techniques, which is called as likelihood decoding techniques, which will be used. That how can we detect this mi for the given observations? So, and in this case, next we have taken the special case of the AWGN channel. For this AWGN channel, we have already defined. Last time we have already derived the expression of the conditional density function, which is given by this one. So once we put this expressions, we simply get this expression because this expression is going to be used in upcoming discussions. So you may remember this. That is log likelihood functions for the AWGN channel is given as 1 from n summation j to xi minus xi. Now, then we have discussed about the coherent detections of the signaling noise. It is called as maximum likelihood detection. That is, how can we coherently detect the mi transmitted bit in the presence of the noise with the minimum probability of error. That is maximum likelihood. So for this, I have already discussed. That is, how can we for the transmitted symbols mi, knowing this xi, that is the observation sector at the receiver side, how can we detect this mi with the minimum probability? And where observations vector x is defined as si plus this all these three are vectors. Now, then we have calculated the last expressions, that is the probability of that is the receiver will set the estimated value, that is at the output of this receiver is the estimated value of that m. And that estimated value will be same to that of mi, that is the transmitted message signal. It will set and it will decide that okay, transmitted symbol is nothing but mi, and this probability, this expression is maximum for k equals to. And we have seen that this pk does not consist any information. This is just a priori probability, and if both symbols 1 and 0 are having the equal probability, equally likely, then pk will be nothing but 1 by 2, or if there are n number of symbols, it will be nothing but 1 by n. And this affects the x is nothing but the probability density. And this also does not depend upon the message symbol m. So only the functions which is dependent upon the message symbol is nothing but the conditional density functions of that observations vector x, given that mk is transmitted. Whereas we want to detect this mi. So when this factor, whole factor will be maximum for k equals to y, that is fx x given ni should be maximum for k equals to y, and this is nothing but our logarithmic. This is nothing but our likelihood functions, or you can say likelihood functions and the log likelihood functions. So we can say that the receiver will set estimated value to mi if this log likelihood function is maximum k equals to y. This rule is simply called as maximum likelihood rule, and the decoder which is being used to actually maximize this LMK is called as maximum likelihood decoder. Now, the same things we can also understand graphically. So let us see how can we understand it. So that is for the graphical representations. This is also an important concept which is going to be used in today's example. That is whole observations things we actually denoted by the Z, which is called as observation space. And here we have taken the example for n equals to 2 and m equals to 4. M equals to 4 means 4 number of message signals are there. N equals to 2 means there are two basis functions, phi 1 and phi 2, and both will be orthogonal to each other. So we have taken phi 1 and phi 2. And n equals to 4 means we have taken the four message signals, like message signal 1, message signal 2, message signal 3, message signal 4. And we know that the distance from here to the message point is nothing. Square of the length is nothing but the energy. Hence, this length we can write it simply by under root of the energy. So energy of the message bit 1 is given as under root E minus under root E, and we can this. So this is the whole actually signal space representation. This situation that once we take two basis functions and four number of message signals. Now, if we consider whole space as an observation space, which we denoted by Z, then we need to actually partition all these Z in the four actually regions, observation regions or decision regions we have, which is given by Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. And we say that if our observation vector X fall in any one of the region Z, then the message corresponding to that region, say in the region Z1, the message amount is falling, then that message signal is detected. So this is the graphical representation of the log logarithmic that one maximum likelihood detection theorem what we have studied. So you can see the whole space is divided into regions Z1, Z2, Z2 is from here to here, and from here to here it is Z3, and from here to here it is Z4. So whole observation space is divided into m numbers of decision regions. And since that here m equals to 4, the 4 numbers of decision regions partitions. Now, you can see in the graphical representations that if observations vector X lies in the region Zi, suppose that observations vector lies in Z3, then the message corresponding to this Z3 is nothing but the M3. So the receiver will simply detect that M3 has been transmitted at the transmitter A. Hence, observations vector X lies in the region Zi, then LMK is maximum for K equals to Y. LMK maximum is if LM, suppose it lies in the Z3, then LM3 is maximum. So when LM3 is maximum, it means that M3 has been transmitted at the transmitter side and the receiver detect that MD has been transmitted. So this is the graphical concept of the likelihood detections. Now, the same things if you consider the AWGN channel, then this LMI, as I told you, that this expression is going to be used to listen. This LMI for AWGN channel, that is log logarithmic function, is defined as minus this expression which I derived last time. That is, if you put this value, if you take the log of this, you will be getting these expressions after ignoring this, which you can easily obtain. And last time I have already proved it. So if you look to this, that is, if you consider the AWGN channel, the effect of bias, where the noise nature is the white Gaussian bias, then this LMI is given by this expression. It means that since here we want to maximize this LMI, so especially for the case of AWGN channel, it means that we want to maximize this. So if you want to maximize this, then because of the negative sign, we can minimize. This 1 by n naught is simply constant, so we can minimize this factor, that is given as summation j equals to 1 to n. Because once this will be minimum, this LMI will be maximum because of this minus sign. So summation j equals to xj minus skj here I, so here I, since here LMK, so here it is kj whole square. So it means that the meaning of this, that is LMK is maximum for k equals to y in the case of AWGN channel, is same to that of minimizing this factor. That is, it will be minimized where for the choice, that is when k equals to I. If it is minimized for k equals to I, then automatically this receiver will decide that okay, mi has been transmitted. So either we either we maximize this vector, simply minimize this vector. Hence, graphically, we can say that observations vector x lies in the region Zi. That is, observations vector x lies in the region Zi. If LMK is maximum, or we can say if this factor is minimum. If this factor is minimum for k equals to y. And this, since we know, this is what? This is nothing but summation xj minus skj whole square. This we have already calculated. Is the length. Is nothing but the length. That is the distance between the received signal point and the message point. This is the message point. This is the received signal point. Because you can see this graph we have already discussed last time. That is, this one is the signal vector. So this is the message point. So, and this is the observation vector x. So if we subtract this and take the square of that, it simply gives us the distance between the message point and the received point. And this distance, actually what happens, this distance varies according to the random nature of this noise. And last time we have told that this noise because of the random nature of the noise forms the noise cloud, and across this message point, and because of that only this received point actually may roam anywhere in this noise cloud. So if definitely if this distance is minimum, this distance is minimum, it means that observation point is more close to the message point, and detection of this message point is even having more easier and having the less chance of the error. But if this distance is more, then since observation point, that is this received point, is far from the message point, and the chance of error during the detection is more. So because of that only, since this factor gives this mod of x minus s whole square simply gives us the distance between the received signal and message signals. And since we want to have the minimum value of this, that is the minimum value of this, and intuitively we can say that if this distance will be minimum, then definitely there is a less chance of the error. That's why either we maximize this, or in another sense we can say that we can either we minimize this, or in another sense we can say that this factor must be minimum. And since this is the square and this is the length, either we can say that is the Euclidean distance between the message point and the received signal point must be minimum. So this is also maximum likelihood detection story. We can also say in this way also. So this is the maximum likelihood detection rule is simply to choose the message point closest to the received signal point. That is, if the message point is as much as closest to the that of the received signal point, or we can say the received signal point is as much as close to that of the message signal point, and in that case it will decide okay which message signals has been transmitted with the minimum probability of error. So this maximum likelihood decision rule we can also state in this way. That is observations vector x lies. So there are 2 to 3 ways by stating for a statement of the maximum likelihood detection. In that first statement we have told that maximum likelihood detection rule simply tells us that to maximize the log likelihood function. That is, if this is maximized, then also that is called as maximum likelihood detection. Or we can say if this factor is maximized, then also minimize. If this factor is minimum, that is also nothing but simply the same, having the same meaning to that of the LMK. Having the maximum value of the LMK is having the same meaning that it should have the minimum value. So we can also state in this way, that is, this factor should be minimum. Or in the simple statement, we can also say that it must have the minimum distance between the message point and the signal received signal point, which is given by, that is, this distance should be minimum of a equals to I. Now, if this factor here, if this let us represent this in another form, that is in the fourth form, okay, which we can also say using that form also you can say the maximum likelihood detection should be in another form. That is, this factor should be minimum, and this factor summation j equals to 1 to 1 xj minus xkj whole square. Since this should be minimum, Hence, this factor we can write simply as summation j equals to first square x square minus 2 into first and second and then second square. So this equations we can also write by this one, and we know that for k equals to I, we always try to have the minimum value of this. Now, since this we have expanded in this form, and if you look to the first term, then this first term is independent of the k. So there is no essence that case of the k equals to I. If you consider that first term, so leave it, It does not have any meaning in this particular expression because there is no index k. Now, if you look to the last one, then this is nothing but the energy of the transmitted signal, SKT, as we have already seen. This is nothing but the energy of the transmitted signal, which is given by SKT. And now, if you look to the second one, then it is nothing but the inner product of the vector x, that is the observations vector x, and the signal vector xk. So based on this we can ignore this, and if we multiply, so this factor, since this factor should be minimum, as we can say, if we ignore this, then this factor should also be minimum. So if you multiply this by minus sign, then that factor, that is the plus of this and minus of this, should be maximum. And if we divide it by 2 also, then that factor should also be maximum. Hence, if we say that the summation j equals to 1 to n, we multiply these two terms by the minus sign and then divided by 2, then since this factor should be minimum, so after multiplication of the minus sign, that should be maximum. And after division by the 2 itself, because 2 is the greater than 1 quantity, then also that will be maximum. So it means that this factor, which is given by summation j equals to 1 to n xj skj minus half, and we are multiplying by the minus sign, so minus half. Then this is nothing but the energy of the signal SKT, which is given by Ek. So minus half Ek. This must be maximum. So this in another way also we can say about the maximum likelihood detection. That is, someone can actually write this expression also to say that if this expression will be maximum for k equals to y, then the receiver will make the decision that I has been transmitted with the minimum probability. In that case, the meaning remains same. That is, observations vector x lies in the region Zi. So message signal corresponding to the region Zi will simply be detected. So this is the another way, and where Ek is nothing but the energy of the signal, which is given by summation j equals to and skj whole square. So this is all about the maximum likelihood detections. Now, based on this expression only, because we have studied that what is the maximum, what is the log likelihood function, and what is the maximum likelihood detection technique. Now the question arises that in the receivers, how can we implement the maximum likelihood detection tool so that we can detect the message signal, transmitted message signals MI with the minimum probability of error. So for that we can have the correlator receivers. So I'm just moving to the next slide because all these things what I have actually written in this slide, that is for your sake of simplicity and easiness. So that once you go through and some concept, I'm giving you some point of time, then you can refer it. So now we are going to discuss about the correlator receiver. What is the correlator receiver? That receiver simply implement the things what we have studied about the maximum likelihood. So this block diagram is nothing but the correlator receivers. Why it is called as correlator receivers? Because it uses the multipliers and the integrator. Last time, so many times earlier also I have already used this terminology. And now we are going to study about the correlator receivers in movie. So now you can consider this block diagram we have considered in the starting of our discussions. That is, this is the message source MI. MI has been transmitted from the computer in the form of SI. And then if this channel is a WGN channel, then XT, which is nothing but the SIT plus WT, is received at the receiver side. And now our aim is to design this receiver itself so that with the help of this XT, we can detect that MI has been transmitted. So we have seen that XT, this receiver, simply estimate that MI has been transmitted. So how can we design this receiver? That is called as correlator receiver. And one receiver we have already studied about the mesh filter. There also we had tried to actually minimize the probability of error to detect a particular signal being transmitted. Now we are going to study about the correlation receivers. And later on we will see also that this correlator receiver is nothing but the mesh filter itself and, and mass filter itself. It means that, and we have already seen that mass filter is the optimal receivers that is detect the signals minimum probability of error. Similarly, this correlator receiver is also an optimum receiver. We will see the similarity between the these correlator receivers and the things what we have studied about the mass filter. So now here our aim is to design these receivers. How can we design these receivers? And we have seen that in the maximum likelihood detection coding techniques, we have seen that we need to generate first the observations vector x. Now, if we have the observations vector x, then we can maximize this LMI R. We can maximize just this factor. We can maximize this factor. So for that, our aim is to our aim is to first. This is where we have two concepts. That is, first we need to generate the observations vector x, and then with the help of this formula, our aim is to maximize this factor so that probability of error can be minimum. So let us see how can we design these two concepts in the receiving part. So for that, the first part where we need to generate the observations vector x. And since we know the observations vector x, we have already used this term which is known as the analyzer. If we give the input to the xt, this is the same block diagram what we have studied earlier, which is the analyzer. I'm just going to that block diagram, which I have drawn so many times. This is the analyzer. That is in place of SIT, since in the effect of the noise, it is nothing but the xt get multiplied by the n numbers of basis function and then the integer. That's why it is called as the correlator receivers. So this is the same block diagram, and here you can see we have generated at the output we have generated the XA, because SI1, SI2 what are written that is corresponding to SIT, but there is a sum, there is a in the SIT there is an effect of the noise which is added WT, and it becomes XT, and corresponding to XT, this signals will generate the observations vector X. That is this will generate the X1, X2, X3, and it will have the n number of you can say sample value, or simply X we can say the n-dimensional vector. So to generate this X, we have used the same block diagram, exactly same block diagram. So in the correlator receiver, the first block is that one only, that is X is received, and it is multiplied by the n numbers of basis functions and then integrated. So it is called as correlator. I1t 0 to dt 0 to dt. So this one is the first part of the receivers, where we need to produce the observations vector X, which we have already studied. You can see x1, x2, xn, and numbers of n-dimensional observations vector we generate. Now, then after generating this output is given input to the second part of the receivers, where our aim is to estimate this m with the minimum probability of error. Estimate this mi, which is given by m cap, with the minimum probability of error. How can we estimate with the minimum probability of error? Then we can apply the maximum likelihood detection techniques, and which is given by this one. Here we want to maximize this factor, and this is nothing but summation j equals to 1 to n xc. So in place of summations, we can use the accumulator, and in place of making the product of these two, we can use the product modulator, product. So here you can see this x is the same expressions are written over here also. Just take up convenience. That is summation j equals to 1 to xj xkj. So this is the n-dimensional vector multiplied by skj, and then our data is accumulated. It means that the output of this one is nothing but the transpose of this xt with the si. It will give nothing but this one. And then from this, half of that ek energy corresponding to that message signal is, once it is subtracted, it is nothing but this signal. Now it is coming for the say message signal M1, M2, M3, M1, I, Mj. Then all are compared. and the largest value is selected because we have to find out the maximum. So largest value is selected. Suppose the largest value corresponds to k equals to I, that is corresponds to the second one. It means that this receiver will decide simply that it has been transferred. If it decides that k equals to I, or if it decides that say 10th one, then mk has been transferred. So correspondingly it makes the decision. So this is called as, this type of receiver is called as correlator receivers. And you can see this correlator receiver, this we have already discussed about the maximum likelihood detection techniques where we get the minimum probability of error. If you follow that, and here we have already followed that maximum likelihood detection techniques. So definitely we'll be getting the minimum probability of error. And since we also know that the receiver which provides us the minimum probability of error is called as optimum receivers, and hence this correlator receiver is also called as optimum receivers. And you can see, if you remember, then I told you that mass filter, if you I have talked about the mass filter concept, where we have already discussed that if we have the signal GT, then the mass filter impulse response ST is nothing but the A times the time reverse version of this E minus T. Time reverse version and the shifted version of the CT is nothing but the mass filter impulse response. Okay. And if you want to find out the output of the impulse output of the mass filter, then this suppose input of the mass filter is xt, then we simply take the convolution of xt with the impulse response, we get the output of the mass filter. Now, if you recall that concept what I have discussed at that time, then I told you that this mass filter can easily be implemented by the integrated dump circuit. Integrated dump circuit. This we can simply realize. Mass filter can simply be realized by integrated integrator. That is just by the integrator. And using the capacitor switch, using the switch, which can actually make the feedback capacitor charge on the feedback capacitor 0 after each sampling period. And here also you can see in the correlator receivers, we have the integrator circuit. So if you look to this part, then if we replace this part with the mass filter having the impulse response ht, which is given by I, since the input of this one is I t minus tau at t minus t impulse response, which is given by phi t minus t, then this portions we can easily implement by the mass filter, and this portions may remain same. So you can see this correlator, because this simply makes the decisions on the estimate of the MI on the basis of observation. The main task is to design the observation spectrum. So we can replace this portions by simply by the mass filter, which has the impulse response of phi t minus t. Then we can see the output of this correlator is same to that of the output of that circuit. So this is called as equivalence of the correlator and the mass filter receivers. Right? This is the mass filter receivers. In both the receivers, this part will remain same, because this one is simply implementing the maximum likelihood detection system. But if you talk about the first part, we can replace this portion by the mass filter. So you can see in how can we replace this by the mass filter by phi t minus. You can see phi 1 t minus t, phi 2 t minus t. These are nothing but the impulse response. Phi 1 t minus t is the impulse response of the mass filter, impulse response of the mass filter, impulse response of the mass filter. And you can see that the output in both the cases will remain same, right? Phi it, if we have suppose any linear LTI system whose input is xt, with impulse response of ht, then output of that linear LTI system is given by the convolution of ht with the ht. So convolution of that convolution is given by minus infinite x tau ht minus tau. And since you know that for the case of mass filter, if the input is the basis function, if for that mass filter, if our input is the basis function, then the impulse response of that mass filter will be simply phi j t minus t. Phi j t minus t. Hence, hj t minus tau in this expression. Hence, we can put this expression in that one. That is phi j t equals to x tau phi j t minus t. And at t equals to, that's why you can see here the sampling switch is used. Then we need to take the sampling at t equals to t. At t equals to t, this t will cancel out and we get the xt by j. Now, if we compare this expression is what? Minus infinite to infinite x tau I j tau d tau, which we have derived for the case of mass filter. But if you look to the previous block diagram, then yt, that is the output of this will be nothing but xt integration and then I1t, that is the integration over 0 to t. Yeah, that is integration over 0 to t, xt, and then ijt. So this expression is similar to this expression. As this receiver part, correlator part of the correlator receiver, we can also design just by using the mesh filter what we have seen. And this mesh filter is also not a receiver, so there is mesh as the half. Replace that correlator receiver with the mesh filter. We must have to choose the mesh filter in process and numbers of orthogonal basis. So this is how we can say that there is a correlation, there is a relation between the relations and the mesh filter. But the second part where we, based on the observations vector x, where we need to estimate this m, that must remain m in the first part. So this kind of similarity between the correlator receiver and the meshed filter. And here also I have written that in the form of block diagram. Another block. That is, here you can see that in the correlator, if you have P as an input, you can actually assume it in the same actually, just for the graphical actually, better understanding of taking it. That is, this portion of the correlator, will be can be simply replaced by the mass here. Similarly, here this is in place of as we have considered. Don't confuse with that. Different notations what is being used. And this PPT I have already shared to all of you, and you can download it through the team itself. You can go ahead, and if you can find any problem, you can ask me later on. And your one more thing I want to inform you, the second quiz is scheduled on Monday, 6th September from 7 p.m. So, if you find any problem, you can ask me. So this is the equivalence of the correlations and the mesh filter. Now, as you have calculated the probability of error for the case of mesh filter, the question also arises in this case. This is also correlated receivers. How can you find the probability of error for the correlated receivers? It is very simple. That is, average probability of single error for the correlated receiver is given by the summation, because there are n numbers of correlators. So there will be the summation, and since m numbers of symbols have been transmitted, so we need to actually determine that is how transmitted symbols. So that one is summation. And this pi is the a priori probability of the symbol mi. So if the symbol mi has been transmitted, then the corresponding a priori probability is pi. Right? If we have 0 and 1 and both are equally likely, then symbols are only there, and we have P1 and P0 and P1 in the case of equal. But if there are n numbers of symbols, then Pi and all are equally likely, then Pi will be nothing. So probability of symbol error will be nothing but summation Pi, that is I has been transmitted, Mi has been transmitted, whereas S does not lie in Zi. S does not lie in the Zi, that is in the ith observations region. If this X will not lie, then only it will detect the error. Then only the error will occur. Whereas Mi has been sent. Mi was transmitted, Mi sent, whereas this X, that is the observations vector, does not lie in the Zi, which can actually make the decision in the favor of Mi, then the error will occur. Similarly, this probability we need to add with all the symbols. So this is the overall whole average probability of symbol error. This we can write as 1 upon n. You can see, as I told you, that if all are equally likely, then Pi can be replaced by 1 by X does not lie in in the ZI, given that M is transmitted. This is given by 1 minus 1 by M probability of X lie in ZI. Why we are writing in this form? Because we have already calculated f x x giving M. So using that, we can actually calculate the probability. And if you have the probability density functions, just by taking the integrations and taking the proper limit of integrations, we can calculate the probability. And we have written this in 1 minus 1 final probability. X lies in Z given the Z. Now, overall probability in terms of the conditional probability density functions. That is 1 minus 1 by M, summation I equals to 1 to M. Conditional probability. So conditional density functions we can integrate it with respect to the observations of X and Z I. Well, divide the Z I, I1, I2, I1, 2, 3. So finally we have to find that n-dimensional observations vector, the integral in this equation is by the n-dimensional. And what we can say double integrations, triple integrations, so that is the n-dimensional integrations. So this is all about your model 2. Anyway, if you have any doubt, if you have any query, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can end our discussion. But still, we have 10 minutes time left. So let us discussion. Yes, 10 minutes time. 10 minutes time is left. So this PPT I have already shared with. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me regarding. We are going to actually take your quiz on 6th, that is Monday at 7 p.m. I hope I will. This is the actually this model is very conceptual model, and at the same time it is very interesting. So if you go through this very actually way in the deep, then you will actually enjoy the concept of the written on the board. By how we design. Basically, this model 2 is based on the receiver design, and in the model 3, mainly you will be studying about the digital modulation techniques like first ASK, PSK, SK, and then QPSK, MSK, DPSK. There are so many types of digital modulation techniques. One is having certain advantages and disadvantages of another. And all these type of receivers, you need to ultimately detect what the digital bit has been transmitted from the transmitter side. So ultimately, before studying to that particular modulation techniques, we must have to know that how can we design the receiver and how can we actually detect the transmitted signal with the minimum studied. Because here you can see that we have whatever the receivers we have studied. That receiver is the baseband receiver. That is only used. It is used for the signal which is not modulated. If we transmit MI, empty, say empty, then if the received signal is empty, then only this receiver is being used. But then how can you say, if I'm saying that that the passband communications what we are going to study in the module 3, where we will study various types of modulation techniques. So where this receiver is going to be used. So suppose we talk about the simple ASK, amplitude shift K. Amplitude shift K is the modulation techniques where the message signal properties of the carrier signal changes according to the message signal. And since the message signal is in the form of binary digit, that is in the form of 1 and 0. So it means that the carrier signal amplitude also changes in 2 levels only. That is corresponding to 1. Carrier signal is transmitted. And if there is a 0 at the input, no carrier signal is transmitted. So you can see the carrier signal amplitude changes according to the message. But it is unlike to that of what analog communications techniques, analog modulation techniques will be studied. Because in the analog modulation techniques, the message signal is always analog in nature. where you can see amplitude continuously changes. So correspondingly, the carrier signal amplitude also changes. Whereas in the case of digital modulation technique, message signal always remain in the digital form. So if it is in the digital form, then corresponding to 1, it's supposed to be represented by plus V port, corresponding to 0, if it represented by 0 port, then according to that only our message carrier signal amplitude should change. If there is a 1, we simply transmit the carrier signal with the same amplitude. If there is a 0, we do not transmit any carrier signals. That's it. Now, if this carrier signal is transmitted, now at the receiving side, what we do? First, we suppose we are detecting these signals using the coherence detection technique, or we call it a synchronous detection technique. Then we simply multiply with the same carrier signal in cos omega ct, because cos square omega ct. And this cos square omega ct we can write in terms of the 1 plus cos 2 omega ct. Then if we pass it with the low pass filter having the appropriate cutoff frequency, which is slightly greater than the message signals, then the lower frequency component will pass. Output. But how can we decide? How can we decide that whether 1 has been transmitted or 0 has been transmitted? So whatever the received signals we'll be getting, in that received signal there may be some effect of the noise during the transmission. Now, once we demodulate it, again we get the corrupted version of the message signals what we have transmitted. And then after, we can use the optimum receivers what we have studied there. That is, we can use the noise filter so that during the detections of that message signal, minimum probability happens, and we can detect that message signal accurately. So there it is being used. So in that most of the digital communications, digital modulation techniques, there you will write there in the block diagram you will find that simply one block is there. The decision making device. Pre-threshold level is maybe mentioned over there. That is, if the incoming signal is more than the pre-threshold level, then decision-making device will make the decision in the favor of that transmitted bit. But overall, the system decision-making device designed in this way only discussed. Especially if we talk about the correlator receivers, then there are two actually stages. In the first stage, you want to first actually design the observations, then on the basis of observations, estimate that is which bit has been transmitted. So this is the applications. So these things you will not going to study in the next module. In the receiver part, once it is the transmitter signal is received, in the demodulation, if you are using the synchronous detection techniques, then we simply multiply with the carrier signals, and then that carrier signal simply goes to the decision after passing with the low pass filter. It simply goes to decision making device where we make a decision that is corresponding to whether 1 has been transmitted or 0. So, but that decision making device is nothing but what we have studied in this whole module. That is how we design that. Because it is very crucial things, because if you are unable to detect in the digital communication, if you are unable to detect the signals properly with very low probability of error, then you cannot actually rely on that communication. Because that error, low error, is very much important. I think the minimum error you can say is very much important nowadays, especially in the communications. A lot of banking things and the security information are being transmitted. So with this, we can end our discussion. And meanwhile, if you have any doubt, ask me a question. And I've already completed. So please, anyone of you. I'm waiting. If you don't have any questions, then also you can say. And I've already shared PPT. You please go through it. And if you find any difficulty, you can ask me. All things I have taken line by line. Complete this model to taken Simon Hackett. It is given in the chapter number 4. So you can skip those things which are not actually taught because those are not in your syllabus. So I'm not actually processing. Those things you can list. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, any problem, you can ask. Otherwise, we can end our discussion. It has already been 2:07 p.m. 3 minutes are left. I'm waiting. Anybody, any one of you is having any doubt. And from next week onwards, Professor Deep will be teaching you as per our plan. I don't know what will happen, but until now, what the information is received, he is going to teach you. Model 3 and Model 4. And again, we will come back to you for the discussion. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, if you have any query, you can ask. Otherwise, we can end our discussion. Any one of you, please. I'm waiting.
No, sir.
Anybody else? At least some 10 to 20 responses I want to know. I want to hear. Did I call the name? Voluntarily you reply. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, you can say